Okay. It took a minute to get it, to figure it out. But yes, we are once again streaming live on YouTube. For some reason it's switched over to a different format and I had to figure it out. Right? Anyway, we're here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Please don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, and the notification bell so you can be notified whenever new content is being uploaded. Right? So in this, I wanted to talk to y'all once again about the damage of Freemasonry within the black community. Yes, it is not a good thing for black people, even though you hear black people say it's a good thing. But these are the same people who was running around talking about Jesus was a good thing. Christianity was a good thing because they are invested into the European lie, right? And so when I say that, I'm talking about the new European lie, which would be the Luciferian system. Now, the Luciferian system comes about through Freemasonry because it's a cult, just like we had Christianity and, the cult of Julius Caesar. And so with this cult, it's Queen Elizabeth. And so with that, right, how could we not see if the cult of Christianity, which was given to us by the British Empire anyway, which was only using us to take down Christianity. But are we getting anything out the deal? No. While they'll tell us, oh, yeah, we had helped y'all when it came to slavery with the abolishment of, slavery and all of that. No, you brought it here in the first place. You set up that system with a scapegoat in mind. That scapegoat is Christianity. Now, mind you, when I say this, I'm not saying this to say, oh, Christianity is a good thing. No. What I'm saying is, don't be fooled in thinking that Christianity is your villain, while your true villain is Freemasonry and how they use this system of sophistry, should I say, in a negative way to cause distrust amongst the people. When when Plato, Socrates, the wizard of Christianity set up their system, they was breaking out of a spell, right? The spell of Babylon, the spell of the Middle East, God system, and that system. They was breaking out of that. So they set up their own system. Now, what I'm saying is to study that like the British did, right? And for us to study that and set up our own system. Now, our own system does not have to be set up on any gender. It could be set up on both genders, kind of like the original system, right? But this system does not have to have us at odds with one another. That's the point that I'm trying to make. We don't have to be caught up in the whole sexist scheme. because that's how they're setting up this system, right? When you look at Freemasonry, I should have. Hold on, let me see if I could. Let me go through. Let me go through this. I'm gonna go through my. Hold on, let me show y'all what I'm doing over here, right? This is, as you know, this is my God by design. So as you can see, the making of a God starter kit, we got the founder of a nation, which would be George Washington. We have the phallic symbol, right? We have security, which is the money. And we also have the cornerstone, which is Washington State, right? And so, which is the completion of the nation, at least, you know, the grounds of connection outside of Hawaii and Alaska, of course, right? But anyway, that's not what I was looking for. Let me go out of here, bring this back up, presentation, magic. Okay, let's go into the sophists because we was talking about that, right? Identifying the sophists in modern time, right? So when we talk about, you know, identifying the sophists, the Freemason, right? We would have to understand the game that's being played. So we could look at shows on the internet like, hold on a minute here. Excuse me, I'm developing a cough for some reason. Right? So let me look up this. So like I was saying, you know, you look at internet shows like Sonata where they so-called dropping the jewels, but these jewels are all in sophistry. Just arguments of trying to be right, not trying to be truthful, to be correct. It's only about who wins the argument. So, with this, right, etymology, the Greek word Sophios or wise man is related to the noun Sophia, wisdom. A word, the word gives rise to the verb sophizo, to instruct, make, learned. The passive voice of which means to become or be wise or to be clever and skilled. The word sophist could be combined with other Greek words to form compounds. Right? So, with that in mind, we need to understand as we're listening to these organizations, pardon me here, right? As we listening to these groups, these organizations, and to learn what is really taking place, right? That's the main objective. To listen to all of these groups to get the main objective. What are they pushing the people towards? Because it's just like church without having church. It's the same thing. It's taking this message and going out with it. So are you missing the point? Most likely you are because you're caught up in one group. Right? So if you step back and you was to listen to all of these groups, perhaps then you would see the game being played. This game of talking, right? The wisdom, right, is subjective because it doesn't mean to know something, to have the information of something does not mean that it's the right information. That's the problem. To gather information and to not know if it's the right information or valuable information. That's the key. To know if this is true information and to weed it out. That's what I had to do by being objective to all of these groups, listening to them, not being a part of any of them, but not rejecting any of them in the sense of not not taking their information, as in taking their information, seeing what they're promoting to the people. That was my objective when dealing with these groups of people. It was never like, and when I say these groups, it could be from Islam, it could be from fake Islam, the Nation of Islam, to the Moors, and that fake Indian vibe now that they on, just and I'm not limited to that. Jehovah Witness, Mormons, all of these are all part of this system. So you cannot reject them. You have to understand them. At least give them the air. Do not approve of them because they're all really just there to push you in an objective. So to be a tool in Freemasonry. The Mason is the builder. Who were the tools? And what are they building? They're building the Luciferian system. And they're doing it right in front of our faces. They're doing it right in front of our faces, people. And you can't see it because you can't see belief being built when you already caught up in the belief. You already a builder in the belief system. So it's nothing you can do. The only way to see it is to get out of it, step back, don't have no opinion on it, but step back and start listening to what they're all promoting. It's just like a religion, any religion. I don't care if it's, Christianity, what do in all of their denominations. The main objective is what they're pushing, and the reason why I stopped on that is because Christianity is being attacked. So the denominations, a lot of the denominations within Christianity is actually, Freemasonic organizations holding on to that system, like scraps, getting the scraps while they're turning over to a new system. And this system, as you can see, take years. They set it up in the 1600s. Here we are in 2025. That's 1,000 years later before they actually get their whole thing up and off the ground. And how do you know it's up off the ground? Is because we can go back to George Bush when he said we're in a new world order. The new world order is the British Empire in control. And that control is the Luciferian system being built, still being built through Freemasonry. It'll probably be another 1,000 years before it's complete. And the good thing is, with technology and information being out there and stuff like this, we're able to get the information out there. So when we see people, getting caught up in this system, right? We can honestly say, okay, we can see it. Now, me, I say I learned the system through studying Freemasonry, one, right? And what I mean by that, I mean the listening. Pardon me. Give me 1 second, please. Okay, we back. We back. Had to get me something to drink here, cause I don't know, I'm coughing. It's like I used to do back in the days when I got on the mic. I don't know what it is. You see, I took the little foam off, thinking that shit. Who knows? Look like it's kind of dusty over here. I gotta clean up this dust. Okay. So, like I was saying, when we hold on 1 more second. When we talk about Freemasonry, like any religion, we would have to always understand philosophy. The philosophy of Descartes, right? Which would be the founder of modern philosophy, right? We will be able to see the Luciferian system, the idea behind it. How do we know? Because when we go into the wizard of, or the philosophy, I call it the wizard, right? And they do too. So when you hear me say the wizard, just know I'm talking about philosophy and the philosopher, right? And so to understand philosophy, or the better yet, the purpose of philosophy, philosopher is, they'll have you thinking it's, oh, it's just somebody who's asking questions. No. The philosopher designs the way and thinking of the citizens, how they should view the world. So they're actually structuring your train of thought. That's the purpose of the philosopher. Philosophy is giving it to the people. Now, how do they give it to the people, you might ask? through the word, right? Through the word. It's passed down through the word. The king wants his empire to run a certain way. He wants it to run in peace, right? So it has to have the subjects of the empire to have a train of thought, a universal train of thought, should we say, to move the empire forward. So the philosopher designs this. In most cases, like when we think about the Roman Empire, the philosophy came before the empire, right? And we'll see the student of Plato, which would be Aristotle, becoming the teacher of Alexander the Great, which is starting the formation of the Roman Empire. So when we look at the wizard and its connection to the king, we would see how they go hand in hand, right? Because in most cases, and when we think about God at least, right, the first gods were the intelligent people, right? The learned people, the educated. Those were the original, right? Those were the original. Now, after a while, we had the Lugal. The Lugal would be the big man, the king, right? And the king took over. Now, we would say that would be the first person would be in Lil, right? He set up his foundation. He is accredited with being the inventor of the matlock or the hoe, right? But for me, sometimes when I think of that, I don't know if he's the inventor or within his empire, this was the driving force. So he might be attributed to it, but in reality, somebody else might have been the inventor. Who knows? It's the same thing when we look at, Egyptian, scholars and Imhotep and all of that. It's the same thing. And, I'm not going to get into that on this, but I don't like subscribe to Egypt and it's in black empire. Now it's in Africa, but um because it is I'm trying to think of the word. Um Forgive me. I'm drawing a blank right now. Right? Because it's part of what we call, like, well, I would consider it the Arab system, right? And when we look at its formation, I feel it had that Arab influence. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't black or African. I'm saying it in its totality, it wasn't. I don't think at any point in time in its totality has it been a black empire. It's been duality. It was set up on the two, the Arabs and the Africans, and it stayed that way throughout. So for me, I don't take away from it, but the history behind it is not a good thing, and I feel we should run that from our system as well. It was based off of truth and lies, and we cannot have that anymore. Everything else should be built on some foundation of truth, right? And with that, we should be able to move forward. I'm sorry, I just don't see these things as good. They have not shown to be good, putting the people in a spell and a lie, and then opening the votes at times to give certain information. In this case, how Freemasonry is doing, right? Giving you the system of lies, Christianity, and then start picking it away with the conscious community and all of these things, while these same communities are shifting you still towards the Luciferian system. It's not good. That cannot be a good thing. Taking you out of one lie with half truths just to put you back into another plantation. How could that be a good thing? Come on, man. Think about that. Ask yourself, how could that be a good thing? It can't be. So, so with that is why I say Freemasonry is not for the people. It is not. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not. It's poison based off a half truth. And if it's a half truth, it's a lie. And if it's a lie, that means these are liars. And if you believe the liars simply because of the numbers, then you're living a lie, and they're helping you live that lie, or the ones putting you in the sleep in the first place. Right? So this is what we're dealing with when we say, you know, Freemasonry in the black community. You know, it's not a good thing. I'm sorry to tell you. You know, it's a poison. It's a poison. Right? Let me fix that title there. I didn't even realize I had looked on another page, and I saw that it was the title was off. Yes. Freemasonry is not for black people. It's a British Empire worshiping Queen Elizabeth the First, because she's the founder of the British Empire. And if we look at the Roman Empire, who was founded first by Julius Caesar, right? Breaking it from its old system, and then the founder of the the Roman Empire would be Augustus, right? The son of a god. So, you know, and when we look at this, we understand that it's people worship. There is nothing in the sky, not according to this system. The system that got you believing in God is a system believing in people. So if I was to erase that system, I have nothing to tell me about what an afterlife is. So I can't tell you, oh yeah, be what do you call it? Uh, atheist or something. See, I don't even, get it because I don't consider myself an atheist because it says to not believe in God. I know what God is, so I don't have to believe. I don't accept its narrative it's selling to the people of what an afterlife is. No. If you're asking me that, no. And if being an atheist was that, then I would be an atheist. But I'm not an atheist. I consider myself to be an anti-Mason, which would also mean, I'm against Christianity, I'm against Islam, I'm against Buddhism, anything that had put the people in masses under a spell. I'm against that. Right? That's what I'm against. Seeing the people being put under a spell by the wizards. So even the smart people, I consider myself to be smart enough if I was able to figure out the game. If I was able to figure out the game, I consider myself to be smart enough. Smart enough to have a word, to have a voice. Because I figured it out. I listened to all of the BS that was being promoted. I researched, studied, and I came across the truth. So, yeah, I consider myself to be smart enough. Smart enough to know the game. Smart enough to tell the people, hey, this is what's going on. This is what they doing. And our own people are buying into it. They might not necessarily know the whole game, right? But then I say they have to know. Because if we had a group called, or have a group called the 5% Nation, who took the lessons from the Nation of Islam and brought it to the streets, which is one of the groups that actually helped me get a full understanding of what's going on, right? And so if they're saying the black man is God, right? And like I said, I wouldn't have a problem with that if it wasn't for the title God, right? The true rulers. Now, when they do the lessons and all of that, yeah, they give you the lessons. It's, king, ruler, all of that. Everything is there. So it's telling you what it is. So on that note, I would have to agree with the 5% Nation. Am I 5%? No, because I'm not a part of any Freemasonic organization. Yes, 5% Nation is a Freemasonic organization because they also went and got approval from the government as well. And eventually, well, they did some smooth things, so they'll be around for a minute. Right? So when we look at Freemasonry and we look at the destruction of the black woman, because Freemasonry is saying that the woman is God. or in this case, the devil, right? And so when we look at the outcome for the black woman in this system, no, this cannot be a good thing. It cannot be. It's destructive. Look at it. Look at its effect on the people. And we can say, yes, this is not a good thing. This is not. It's destructive. But first, we would have to know what we're looking at. If we don't know how to spot it, right, or, at least hear it, hear the word, hear what is being promoted, know what to look for, read the Zohar, right? That's Jewish mysticism. The whole thing is mysticism, right? Whether it be through, the Old Testament and all of that. So now we have a new system being built through the women, right? Through the British Israelites, we get this system. We get this system. We gotta know what we're playing with. We gotta know. And because we are educated at birth with the bull, it's hard to step out. And I understand. That's why, the older I got, the more forgiving I become of people. Because when I was younger, I'm looking at people like, there's no way you can be this stupid, right? That was, it is my view. I hate to say it. I look at, you know, that is stupidity. There's no way you could be believing in this nonsense. There's no way. There's no way you could be believing this nonsense. But because you are obligated to, I come to the conclusion those who are down with the empire, they obligated to promote this. And even when they don't want to promote it, they're obligated to promote it because it's the word. And when I mean by the word, it's the way that they are able to communicate with each other. So there's a manuscript on the way they communicate with each other. Now, this secretive way of talking is a whole communication that you would be hearing and get caught up in. Oh, let's say the black man in America is not really black. He's Indian. He's Native American. Right now, say that whole thing is a language, is a way of communicating. So now when you're hearing it, you're hearing the lingo that's been created. So you would have to kind of get inside these organizations, get the lingo, right? And most likely you're getting this lingo as a youth. And in that case, you're bound to the group in which you're getting the lingo from, like Bloods and Crips and all of these other groups. So it could, Bloods and Crips and them are easy viewpoints, like easy ways to spot the system. But there's other systems that's out there that's way more intricate, way more high tech. And you can see that through the West Coast bloods and the East Coast bloods. You could see that the East Coast bloods were way more high tech. They had lingo where the West Coast was just simply, it was real simple, cutting off B's and C's in conversation. It wasn't high tech. Oh, 50 and all of these, red red apples flying, green apples flying, and red light, green light. This is all saying something. This is actually saying something. You understand what I mean? So then to hear something and not know that another conversation is being had is how you get caught up in it. Especially when you want to learn what is being said. Now you gotta go through things and do things to get this information. And that's how this system, we can look and say, nah, it's poison within our community. These secret societies, gangs, religions, organizations, no, they're not good within our community. They either, and while they're buying time, with fallacious arguments, and or it could even be true arguments to a degree, but unless they using it, argument of the 1% and the woke community, and unless they're using it, BLM and these organizations, until they're using it, it's just this destructive system. It goes back to being destructive. Or while it's being used in a broader sense of destruction, rioted and stuff like that, they're still keeping up their actions of gang banging and all of these activities. Like I said, to truly understand what I'm saying, one would have to understand sophistry. And the best way to do that would be to start with Plato's The Sophist. Right? And in today's time, y'all got it good. It's on the internet. So you could go look on YouTube and it'll be like an audio book. You ain't even got to read it. You can sit there and listen to it. Now, if you a good listener, I would advise you do that. If you a reader, go on the internet. You can look it up and read it for free. And learn, and from that, it'll open your eyes to Plato. And when you understand Plato and Aristotle, you'll understand how it works. You'll understand how it works. You'll understand the system. Now, identifying it becomes easier too, because now you know what they're doing, you know what to listen for, because you have learned that, okay, all I got to do is listen to them. Pick 6, 7 of these groups and listen. And when I mean these groups, I'm not talking about the ones who have set themselves up to be religions already, right? We talking about the street organizations. And so that means understanding the youth. That means really being in tune with the youth. Because that's where they passing the message on to. That's how they keeping this going. This language. And when you understand, and when we look at the black community and we see how all of a sudden we're not black no more, we're Indians, and we listening to the Egyptians here in Memphis, and the whole East Coast is really Egypt, and we hear all of these sophistries, and we take a look back and we see how it's effective within our community, we see that yes, this is a deadly thing. This is a deadly thing. The people are easily controlled. It's sad. It's sad how easily controlled the people are with this one system. This system is wicked. Now, I'm not saying that it couldn't one day be used for good. And I have yet to see I can't say that. I've seen systems where I I I understand, right? Some system I'm not gonna get into it because each his own. Everybody, you know, should first even understand philosophy. And then, you know, maybe me and that person could sit down and have, I wouldn't want to put that out here. And then all of a sudden, that's what a person gravitate to, if that makes sense. We've already done that. We're doing that now. By suggesting we run and we chakras and all of this nonsense, right? And we see and we learn where these systems are coming from just by hearing that and doing our research into them. We know what's happening. So, no, I cannot say Freemasonry is a good thing. Because while it gives the premise of many people having the opportunity to have their voice, in reality, what it's doing is finding those voices and snuffing them out. So you have to move in silence. Even while having a voice. Because I'm one of them people that's voiceless. I speak so much you don't realize that I'm not speaking. I mean, now I'm speaking. But in situations, I'll be in a situation getting all the information because I'm standing on morals and principles, right? And or making you stick to the morals and principles of said organization because I'm not a part of it. But there's certain organizations that I've been around due to the fact that I admired what it was set upon. I mean, like, when I say that, I mean gang organizations because, as a revolutionist, I have, I'm automatically a criminal. I'm a revolutionist. I'm a criminal, right? And so moving with that, not being a petty crook, and not saying that I've never been a petty crook, right? But to know being a petty crook, right, and separating yourself from that, even though those people could have value to you, getting in contact, making connections, but you don't want to make that a stone on in the road that you building. That could be one of those pebbles on the side, right? Or like how you got the concrete and you got the gravel and all of that. It could be that, but I wouldn't make it a foundation. Crooks, you know, petty crime, drug dealing, robbing your own people, purse snatching, and those type of. Now there's crime, and then there's um like SA. I don't consider that a crime. I consider that something different, and that something different should be handled with with utmost cruelty, even though most likely they to get in that situation they probably went through some utmost cruelty already, right? And that's being honest on both sides, but I feel that that's something that needs to be nipped in the bud. So I'm sorry that whatever you might have been through, but we can't have this continued type of a thing. You know what I mean? Like, we will not be handling that with silk gloves. But like I said, just in general, and this right here is really just to tell the people to start studying philosophy, and the best way to get an understanding of philosophy, I say study Plato, Socrates, and Aristotle, right? And now after you study them, when you go back or when you move forward in time, you can see what the agenda is and how they keep the human mind trapped. Those who control philosophy control the people, control the masses. Philosophy is the brainwash, right? When you learn philosophy, you learn how to brainwash the people. And that's a fact, right? And so, since Freemasonry is a philosophy, and it's a philosophy set up by the European, like Christianity is a philosophy, right? Set up by the European. right? But I think that, to be honest, I think that in the beginning, um, with the Greeks at least, it was set up to be a more noble thing. But it is what it is. Right, I'm about to end this. Go play me my game for a while. I wanted